The first question today is by Sudhir Rai. He asks, as I understand in Advaita Vedanta, by nature, Jivatman is the same as Brahman. At death, does a fully realized Jivatman retain its separate identity, or does it just merge into Brahman and disappear forever?
Deep question. What I've noticed is the questions are becoming more and more difficult over the years. Yeah, that's good. It's good to wrestle with such questions. Before getting into the philosophical intricacies of this question, let me give the real answer, which comes from Sri Ramakrishna. He gives a beautiful and simple, pointed example. He would ask people who came to him, he would ask them, spiritual seekers, do you want to be sugar or do you want to taste sugar? Very interesting question. And that's the answer to this question. That question is the answer to this question. Do you want to be sugar or do you want to taste sugar? Both are fine. But it's the attitude of the spiritual seeker. One wants to realize one's infinite nature as existence, consciousness, bliss. And one is that already. And one remains as that. So that is the Advaitic enlightenment and freedom. While retaining this body, and at the end of this, the natural lifespan of this body, one continues as this limitless being. So here itself we have an answer. Does the Jivatman merge with Brahman? Does it lose its individuality? Well, when you use the term, the questioner used the term, the fully enlightened Jivatman. But the fully enlightened Jivatman, as you said, is Brahman already. What does full enlightenment mean? The realization that I am Brahman. So there is no particular, desire to hold on to a separate identity anymore. When one knows that I am the limitless, that separate identity too is also already included within this the great identity of Brahman. Every wave is part of the ocean. So yes, one realizes that I am limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, remains as that even when the body is there. And when the body goes at the death of this body, it makes no difference to the enlightened one. The enlightened one does not think of himself or herself as an enlightened one. See, we cannot talk about it without reference to the body. See, himself, herself. The enlightened one thinks of themselves as Brahman, as existence, consciousness, bliss. And the retaining the body, living, dying, these are inconsequential from their perspective. But from our perspective, yes, there is an enlightened one. There is one who is living and free, Jivan Mukta. There is one who was living and free, a great master who passed away, and now we use the term Videha Mukta, the bodyless liberation. These are from our perspective. Free while living and bodiless freedom. Free while living means as long as the body is there, still you know you are Brahman, so you are free. And when the body goes, to you it makes little or no difference. You know you continue as Brahman. From our perspective, we will call you Jivan Mukta, and at the end of the body, we will call you Videha Mukta. What should be our goal? I remember one monk in the Himalayas asking his teacher, a great Vedanta teacher, sometime early in this 20th century. I'll tell you what the question and answer was in Hindi and then translate. The question was, Lakshya kya hai? Kaun si behtar hai? Which is better? Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti? Which is better? Living while free while living, or freedom after death? So which should we aim for? The answer was shocking, especially for a Vedanta student. The master said, Dono hi amangal hai, dono ko tyag kar de. Both are inauspicious, neither is good. Let go of both. After enlightenment, from your perspective, we let go of both. Those are constructs which are helping us forward in our spiritual journey. But if you are enlightened, it makes no difference to you. It's a body-based question. It is immaterial. But from our perspective, it is very much germane. It's very, very much relevant. Yes, we want enlightenment and freedom in this life, in this body. And yes, after the death of this body, we want eternal freedom. From our perspective, it's fine. Now remains the question, will the individuality be retained From an enlightened Advaitic perspective, individuality is already lost from their perspective. We said, okay, from our perspective, will the enlightened one retain individuality? That is a more complicated question. There, whether you want to become sugar or taste sugar. The devotee wants to taste God. Retain just this much of identity of freedom, of individuality, so that I can remain as a lover of God. Lord exists, I love the Lord, and I remain as this one who loves God. The jnani, the one on the path of knowledge, does not even want that. I want to be infinite. This idea that the individuality is lost, as if somehow diminished, something has been lost. Nothing is lost. From an enlightened person's perspective, it has been gained. You lose the cage. You attain limitless freedom. What's the problem? But it might be the constitution of the individual seeker. Some might say that I don't want your limitless existence consciousness place. For me, sufficient is my beloved mother Ma Kali. For me, sufficient my goal is my beloved Krishna. That's my goal. The God of love, not the philosopher's God of limitless being. Sounds very dry and abstract. Both are possible. Both are possible. In the dualistic schools of Vedanta, you will have conceptions such as Vrindavan, Goloka, Vaikuntha, transcendental realms of perfection, where the devotee, the lover of God, retains his or her individuality, maybe a greatly expanded and transformed individuality, a veritable saint, but lives forever in the glorious presence, the loving presence of God. That has been the idea of freedom in many world religions, including many Indian schools of Vedanta also, but not non-dual Vedanta. So both are possible. One monk approached Swami Shivananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and the second president of our order, and asked this question in a very personal way. He asked, so we are all devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, we all study Vedanta and practice Vedanta. What will happen to us after death? Both monks and devotees. He's asking the question to Swami Shivananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. After death, will I remain as this limitless Brahman? This question which he's asking. Or will we all go to Ramakrishna Loka, the transcendental realm where Sri Ramakrishna exists, and live in the divine presence of Sri Ramakrishna forever? Taste sugar. Will we become sugar or taste sugar? What was the answer? In Bengali, Swami Shivanandaji, Mahapurush Maharaji said, Jamon bhav temni labh. As your spiritual attitude is, that will be the result, that will be your gain. Literally, as is your attitude, so is your gain. So is your attainment. That's better. As your attitude, so your attainment. Now, if you have practiced in the way of Advaita Vedanta, I am limitless consciousness. That's what will be there. You will realize it now. What difference will it make if the body goes? Or if you have practiced a devotion to a personal God, in the form of Rama or Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna, Jesus, in some form, incarnation of God or God, personal God, then you will retain a difference, and you will attain your heart's desire to live in the limitless, radiant, loving presence of God. Both are possible. And Swami Shivananda's answer was, as is your attitude, so is your attainment. And then he added something very valuable. He said, but you know, my boy, if you listen to me, these are important, flag. It's best to leave it to Thakur, he said. He said, leave it to God. Because at the end of the day, if you seriously think about it, you realize we seriously don't know anything about these things. There is a great and loving power. Let us do our spiritual practices, taking up any one attitude, pursue it. You never know what's lying at the end of the road. I have seen people, this is my own experience, I've seen people who have pursued the path of personal devotion to God, personal devotion, and have attained impersonal knowledge as limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. I know of advanced spiritual seekers, great saintly persons, who were intensely non-dualistic, and ended up being intensely devotional in a very dualistic sense. Yeah. Among Sri Ramakrishna's own disciples, there was Swami Premananda. His very name, love, prema. And he was supposed to be born of an amsha, that is a part or a particle of Radha. This is all part of the Vaishnava theology. And yet, in his, Sri Ramakrishna said, you will attain jnana, knowledge. Now, what sense do you make of this? About Vivekananda, the great teacher, the great philosopher, the great paragon of Vedanta, he says, I am knowledge on the outside. Inside my heart is as soft. He says, it's a woman's heart. I'm jnana on the outside and bhakti on the inside. Vivekananda says. And then he says about Sri Ramakrishna, whom we know as the great devotee of Kali, as a child of Kali. He says, that old man, he called it old man. He died at 50, by the way. The old man, he was bhakti on the outside. Inside, he was all jnana. So that is the answer.